car and left for dead on the side of the road when he was just a teenager? Ruth clucked her tongue. So tragic. But he pulled through and walked again, and now look at him. Her gaze darted to Bree. You should have your way with him and then tell me all about it. Bree held in a wince. First, I'd never tell you about it, and second, I don't date authors. Between her late husband and her parents, she knew enough about the type to want to avoid them forever, at least on a personal basis. Work-wise, she was stuck. What with owning a bookstore and all. Harding seems exception-worthy, Ruth told her. He might have some interesting scars you could trace, and... Bree held up her hands in the shape of a T. Stop right there. If you're interested in Harding's scars, go for him. How could he resist you? I'm old enough to be his mother. Grandmother, Bree mentally corrected, but kept silent. She had a soft spot for the ever-outspoken Ruth. Maybe he's into older women, she said instead. Wouldn't that be nice? Ruth was still laughing when Bree walked her out of the store. Anson, Ruth's driver, was waiting in the no-parking fire lane. Anson helped Ruth into the Mercedes. Bree stayed outside until the car drove away. Early evening on the beach in Los Angeles was nearly always magical, but in June, if the skies cleared, it was the stuff of dreams. Warm air, palm trees, sand, and surf. Honestly, she shouldn't admit to having any real problems in her life. Even Ruth's impossible book requests were insignificant when compared with the view outside the front door of her store. Until 6 months ago, Driftaway Books had been located about 2 miles north and a good 3 blocks inland from the actual beach. Last fall, when the current space had come up on the market, Bree had stopped in to drool and dream. But beachfront came at a premium, and the square footage had been nearly double what she'd needed. In one of those rare moments when fate stepped in and offered an unexpected opportunity, that very day, 2 other women business owners had also been swooning over the same retail space. They'd agreed it was an unbelievable location, right there on the sand, but it had also been too big and expensive for each of them. Impulsively, Bree had suggested they go get coffee together. Over the next hour, they'd discussed the possibility of sharing the lease. Bree generally didn't trust people until she got to know them, but there had been something about Mikki and Ashley that had made her want to take a chance. By the end of the week, Driftaway Books, the gift shop, and Muffins to the Max had signed a 10-year lease and hired a contractor to remodel. Bree had changed the name of Driftaway Books to the Boardwalk Bookshop, the final step in fully claiming the business as her own. The first Monday after the holidays, they'd moved in together. Bree looked at the long, low building. Huge display windows were shaded by blue and white striped awnings. The large glass doors could slide completely open, blurring the line between retail and sand. She and Mikki, the gift store owner, had their stores on either side, with Ashley's muffin selection taking up the middle space. Big, bright displays showcased books, gifts, and muffins, grouped together in seasonal themes. An array of beach books, sunscreen, flip-flops, and wide-brimmed hats enticed tourists who had shown up to the beach unprepared. Bree headed back inside, aware of the approaching sunset. She collected blankets and champagne glasses, then paused to straighten the poster announcing a book signing by Jairus Sterenberg, author of the popular Brad the Dragon children's books. Jairus lived in next-door Mischief Bay and was always a pleasure at signings. He was one of the few authors Bree liked. He arrived early, stayed late, and asked only for a desk and a glass of water. The man even brought his own pens. At the other end of the spectrum was a not-to-be-named famous mystery author who was a total nightmare. Demanding, slightly drunk, and very handsy, he'd patted her butt one too many times at his last signing and had been banned from the store. Despite pleas from his publicist and a written apology from the author himself, Bree had stood firm. She owned the Boardwalk Bookshop and she made the rules. No literary books, no existential anything, and no guys touching women without their permission. Not exactly earth-shattering, but she could only control her little corner of the world. Mikki saw her and smiled. Once again, we're waiting for Ashley. Have you noticed that? Young people today, Bree teased.